I'm Linda. Glad to have you back. Today I'm going to start a brand new painting. It's a photograph that my friend Deb Briggs took while they were on vacation Northern California all the way up. It is actually northwest of Seattle. A little town called Sequim is where they camped. This photograph is at the Olympic National Forest where they hiked way up on top there. Can't believe she got that shot. It's beautiful. I loved it. So with her permission, I'm going to paint it today. It has some beautiful mountains, some gorgeous rocks. So I think it's going to be fun. I hope you can follow along. And so let's get started. So here are the oil paints I use. Liquid clear, titanium white, lamp black, phthalo blue, Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, sap green, yellow ochre, cad yellow, and red. And I've prepared my canvas with liquid clear. I'm going over the whole thing, and then I'll take a shop towel and I'll just gently wipe all the excess off because you don't want a very thick layer of this liquid clear. Into phthalo blue, little edge strokes, starting in the corner and working my way across. It's going to be a cloudy sky. So, and there are angles to the clouds on this one. So I'm kind of going with the angle of the clouds, how I want them to flow. And then with a clean, soft, dry brush, I'm just buffing it all out, making it really nice and soft. Putting a little extra darkness there in the right corner, just a little bit. Doing circular motion, just softening that sky. And I'm starting to shape my cloud angles. It's a little bit of phthalo, just tiny little circles. I'm using a 1-inch brush, it's a small, and I'm just putting in a little tiny row of darker clouds, angling toward the other side a little bit. And you can shape your clouds any way you want. But I'm looking at photographs, so I want to try and duplicate it as close as I can. Same thing on the top. I'm adding a little bit of white with a touch of black. I'm making a medium gray. I want that top corner a little darker and just still shaping the angle of those cloud movements. So I want it a little bit darker. I'm going to be adding some white in there so they'll show up really nice, those clouds. But right now I'm just softening. Now I've got a clean dry brush, still a 1-inch, and I'm tapping in some white just here and there and adding some clouds in the middle there, just buffing some more in circular motions, stretching it out, keeping that angle, softening as I go. So now I'm going in and I'm going above the blue there, putting in some far away distant a mountain way in the back with a darker gray. That's black with a white with a touch of black. And then I'm going to be putting in another mountain in front of that, and that's going to be a little darker. So I'm going to add a little more black to that. So I'm angling down just a little bit, because that's still in the distance. So I'm just filling that in now. And then underneath on the shoreline, I'm putting a darker blue. That's where the water's going to start. Okay, with a darker blue and black, I'm going to go up and I'm going over that tip of that distant mountain. I'm going to put another bigger mountain right in front of that. So I have a smaller brush and I'm just etching out the edge of the big mountain, filling as I go. So I'm looking at a photograph, so it's can't really get it exact, but I want it similar. I know where I want it to end, so I'm gonna just start a little line there so I know I can end up right there. And then I'll just take the top peak there and bring it right down, level it off with and fill it in. Same direction with the dark gray blue. Straightening out the peaks as you go. If you don't like it, you can fix it. The line should be nice and smooth. Now I'm going down below on the shoreline and I'm putting a darker blue, adding a little black to that same mountain color, and I'm putting in the shoreline, maybe a little bluer, put it that way. Continue across. I'm taking a palette knife, a little white on it, and putting some accent background hills and such in the mountains. So it doesn't look quite so flat. Kind of smoothing it out as I go. Now down below, I'm using the powder blue, the light blue, phthalo, and white. Maybe a little lighter in the center where the light rays are coming through. And then just work my way straight across. And you don't have to go all the way to the end because we're going to be having a lot of foliage over there. So it's not going to really hurt to go all the way across. But I want to make sure it's nice and smooth, the lines. So now I'm taking a round brush, half-inch round. And I dipped in a little dark, like sap green, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, and I'm gonna make some background uh, color for all the foliage that I'm going to be putting in there. Just tapping away, foreground, a little darker, maybe add a little black to that to make it real dark in front. So I'll be highlighting a lot of that with the greens and the yellows and that. So you want it to show up really nice and have the background kind of serves as shadow colors. So I'm just kind of working my way around, tapping same touch, not real heavy, not real light, but I want to make a little bit of an imprint of the brush here and there. Making a mark there off to the center there to the right where I'm going to be putting a row of pine trees with sap green, touch of blue. I want it dark, but I'm going to highlight those in a little bit. So I'm taking my fan brush, vertical, and dip it in the paint, sap green, tiny bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, just a little bit. I'm just going to make a little tiny row of make-believe trees back there. just vertical lines. And then I'm going to put two smaller pine trees off to the left there. And that is where I'm going to use the corner of my fan brush and try and, they're still distant, but you want to be able to make out that they are a little bit closer. So I'm going to make them into little evergreens in the background. And I'll do a second one there, just tapping it in lightly. Then I'm going to put a few bigger pine trees there, three of them, I think. And I'm just putting a line up to show where I'm going to have them. And then while I've got my liner brush out with the dark black and brown, Van Dyke brown, I'm going to put in a tree trunk here and there on the other side, pulling up, not all the way to the top. So now I'm going to be putting in a huge, pretty good size split tree. And so I've gone all the way to the top with the same dark color, straightening my lines all the way. And I'm going to put one line maybe part way down. That's where the split is going to start. So then I'm going to bring that other line right up, narrowing as I go to the top because I don't want real heavy at top, kind of narrowing there. And then I'm going to continue on to bring the other tree trunk to make a V shape where I'm going to have an opening. And then I'm going to go alongside of that on the other side and make a straight line all the way up. And then I'll fill it in. Carefully shaping the main trunk. I'm going to make it a little bit wider, I think, on the right. So I want it really good, pretty good size. And the left one, that's pretty good size too. But I want the lines on the sides fairly straight. And just continue to fill that in. So you got to go over to the other side now, and I'm going to start putting in evergreen fan brush side to side, or you can use whatever brush you want. And you can even use acrylic paint if you want. Just know that you should use an extender medium. It keeps your acrylics wetter longer. So I've seen some beautiful landscapes done in acrylics, and I probably will try it again someday. Anyway, so now I'm making a row of pine trees. Actually, I've all continued to come down. A lot of that will be covered up. So I'm taking a little liner brush and I'm kind of just perfecting the ends a little bit. I'll point here, this is a different kind of a pine tree, so I'm going to make them a little bit pointier. So now I'm taking a little sponge that I cut off from a sea sponge and I dipped it in some sap green and a little bit of brown. I'm just doing some background leaves. I'm going to fill in there all the way down. Just tapping gently, forming the little leaves. Now I'm taking a 1 inch, I'm going back over to the right side, tapping with a little bit of sap green and a very, very touch of yellow. Because I want to start bringing in some greens in there. So I'm just tapping that all the way up, but I'm coming down and I'm starting to shape some of my bushes. and some of the foliage that's going to be back there. I'm leaving some of the dark in there, but I'm just tapping away, shaping, and introducing some little more greens, adding a little lighter yellow in there, here and there as I go, working my way around, shaping bushes. And as I come around to that, there's a little pathway kind of in front of that big tree. So I'm going to be putting in some lighter greens and yellows in that spot here soon. So I'm going to start putting some foliage alongside of that big tree. Little that green and little touch of yellow, so you can see it on the bark there on the tree. Just tap my way here and there, and down toward the bottom, not all the way, because we're going to be putting boulders down there. So then I'm going to work my way up on the other side, adding a little more yellow. I'm going to start highlighting and shaping some of those trees in the back, just below the pines. And just keep going around, twisting my wrist a little bit, making some bushes, little lighter yellow in there. Now here I'm using my fan brush at a vertical, and I'm just putting in a different kind of bush. It's really highlighted there with the light that's coming through. And then I'm going to go beneath that with some medium, a little darker green, just kind of blend it in, make it look like it's all in one. And then I'll just continue on bringing in some more yellows, just tapping in, highlighting some of the tips with some brighter yellow. Same on the little pine trees in the back. I'm just going to highlight those just a little bit. And then in the other bigger trees on the inside, just highlight those. But the sunbeams are coming through and they're going to make those trees, that side of the trees, a lot lighter. And still shaping my bushes, different angles in there. No two are exactly the same. Just angling and shaping, leaving, some space there for the shadows, leaving some holes. We call them holes, but they're, shadows. Making that inside path there on just on the right side of the tree, a little bit lighter because the sun rays are coming through there. And same with the little bush on the side of that tree. I'm going to highlight that where it's exposed to the sunlight and come around on the trunk. Now I've got a fan brush and I'm just tapping in some extra foliage there on the trunk and down below. Down below there's leaves and things on the ground there. Even put a little color back there in those trees, a little dot here of red and yellow, like orangey, just to give some color. And here I've got my spongy and I'm putting in some bigger leaves there in the front just to give it a more realistic look. Working my way down. I've got a little number 4 fan brush. I'm doing a vertical there, and I'm putting some different heights and different down shapes of grasses or whatever you want to call them. Putting some more foliage back there along the side. And a few light spots in the front where the sun is going to hit. And I'm going on the inside of those trees. I'm highlighting some of the trunks. You notice I put four pines there on the right. I'm just highlighting those just to give them a little depth and interest. In the front there, the little pathway, lightening that up with yellow. Now that on the pathway, I did started a line of white and a little bit of Van Dyke brown and a touch of burnt sienna. I'm just putting that little light ray pathway right there that's going to be exposed to the light. Just bringing it over, smoothing it out, using a palette knife to kind of put a little, oh, I don't know, marbling in there. Just a little pathway that the rays are hitting. Now I'm starting to shape my boulders, but in between on the pathway, it is a lighter brown, like a brown with a little burnt sienna. So I've got to fill in between those rocks. And, but the rocks are going to be pretty much black. So I'm shaping the rocks one by one, putting putting some brown in between, making sure the foliage matches up. And then I'm just filling in my boulders. I can separate them with a lighter color, and you'll see how we do that. Putting in a little bit of land there in between, starting another rock. Gonna come above, almost touching the foliage just a little bit, but it's not really near too close to the foliage. Close enough, but you can see the depth there happening. Shaping out more big boulders. And the last one, I'm putting a little bit of gray. I mixed a little bit of white in my black, and I'm just putting a little gray on the top of that boulder. Some of the light is going to come through on there, but I want this color for the base. So when I start adding different lighter colors, it's going to show up really nice. And of course, the bottom is the shadow area. So now I've got my palette knife. I've got straight white on it, small roll, and it will pick up some of that black on those rocks. So you're going to get a marble effect, and it's going to look really cool. So just shape your rocks. Stay with the angle that you want. Curve down. And wait till you see the paint break, marble the look. If you like it, then leave it as you see it. Because if you go over it more, it's gonna blend. You'll know it when you see it, when to stop, because it'll look really pretty. Keeping with the angle of the top of that rock, which is a bit of light ray is on there. Sometimes I use my big end of my palette knife, and sometimes I use the small end. Whatever works. You could even use a fan brush on this if you wanted to. So now I'm kind of defining in between. I'm doing the edge, taking a little black. I'm defining the edge of that rock a lot better so you can see the difference, you know? They don't, it's not one big long row of rocks like a wall. There is a separation of boulders there. And the one rock I'm working on, the sunlight is hitting that, so I'm taking a little white. I'm going to bring that straight down so it looks like the edge of that rock. And then from there, I'm just going to keep adding a little white at a time until I get the right effect that I want. And across the top, I may add a little burnt sienna, a little Van Dyke brown, and touch of white. I mean, that right there is where the light rays are going to hit the top of that boulder. So now I'm separating with the next rock, kind of a space, you might say, till I get it the way I like it. Making sure I have the back side, that is the shadow side. Pretty dark. I want to keep that where the light is not hitting. The next one, got a little bit of a white separation there. I'm going to bring in some more white. And I've already added a little brown in there, so it's going to marble a little bit different color other than the other. No two rocks are the same, so you want to keep that variety, I guess. You don't want to make them exactly the same all across. So I'm just blending a little of that tan and brown and burnt sienna down, keeping the shadows down at the base of that big rock. There I'm with the liner. I'm going to define and put a shadow between those two, that one and the next rock. I guess I'm using a palette knife now instead. Whatever works. I mean, some brushes work and you're comfortable with. Palette knife is good too. There I've got a definition there where one ends and the other one starts. The last rock I'm making a little bit lighter because the light is coming through there. And I'm just trying to get a gray marbling effect. And there will be some shadows there along the bottom of that rock, which I will put in some dark. And the darks are usually black. Black or very, very dark brown. So now I wanted to show you how I did the top of the canvas with my pine stringers, I call them. And they're pine needles or long stringers. Kind of reminds me of my weeping willow stringers. I've got a gnarly looking liner brush that I put some of the hairs off and I made it so I get really fine lines, squiggly lines. So it's a little thicker on top and then I bring down some of those stringers, which I'll be feathering out here after a bit to make it look like all furry, pine needles on the ends. But for now, I'm just going to work my way across. A lot of those stringers are coming down, and I'll end up probably around the center of the painting where I'll have a long stringer and then it'll gradually get smaller as I work my way up to the top. But I wanted to show you how I made these. It's kind of tedious, but in the end, from a distance, and that's with sap green, a touch of very little blue, but just a touch, maybe a little bit of brown too, because I want them dark, but yet I want you to see the green too. See, I'm working my way to the center, a little longer and shorter as you get up to the top, kind of a little canopy look. But these stringers are coming from those big pines on the left. Actually, it's right. That's all right. On the right side. Now I'm taking my gnarly little liner and I'm making some short little furry, feathery things that are coming out from each of those stringers. It looks like pine needles. So that works out pretty cool. I know it's tedious, but it'll look really neat in the end. I almost see a finished painting here. I really enjoy doing this one, and I hope you do too. So until next time, happy painting and God bless.